Hey everyone, Corey from Aquarium Co-op. Today I thought I would just show off a quick little tour around some of the tanks. Here we've got the 150 gallon and as you can see I've been working on it, and there's new plants and mostly just letting fish kind of color up. I want to add some more fish and all of those types of goodness, but this is what the tank looks like in neglect. It hasn't been dosed with any kind of fertilizer or anything in a couple of weeks because we've just been busy at work, but the new rock work is kind of settling in. So when it went in originally, it was like, oh, that color's slightly off from that one. But as it grows in, the algae grows in, it's looking better. We are injecting a little bit of CO2 in there, mostly because I had it laying around. And still kind of waiting for just things to kind of settle in. You can see I put a tiger lotus up front here, and that's kind of starting to do its thing right up front. We've got some Java ferns in the rocks. We've got some Bulbitis at the back there, and some Anubias on wood kind of breaking up the rock a little bit. A cryptid I'm just trying to grow right here, red spiralis tiger. And yeah, for the most part, just kind of doing what it needs to do. I need a bigger fish to be on camera for the live stream. I'm actually considering adding some gold barbs and everything, just for a nice contrast of color. And unbeknownst to me, I basically have all male rosy barbs. So I might try and track down some females to get them to color up even more. And the finnage is just starting to get long, which is nice. The longer the fins get, the slower they get, the less kind of chasing they do, and those types of vibes. So I like my tanks to be calm in general. And yeah, working on, you can see there's lots of water spots on the glass because that's just the way we were when I was working on it. And still got lots of kind of rock and stuff here from the project. But, I kind of got interrupted mid-project and like, okay, that's just the way that's gonna have to be. And then I'm also testing fish. I love to test fish just to see what they can do. And they've done an amazing job on all the hair algaes except for this one Anubias. This one Anubias is the exception, where it's like on the stem. I don't know if it's not quite long enough or why they don't want to eat that specific one, but everything else kind of gets the good treatment. Even this plant here, it kind of got pulled up by them. So, you get the good and the bad of like, well, it didn't have a good root system, so they keep pulling it up, and I'm leaving the one that's there to hopefully get the thing going. So now let's take a look at all the 40 breeders and see what we got going on there. These are some gold guppies I got from Dan's Fish. I'm actually waiting on another strain to commingle. You can see they've dropped a litter, a batch of fry. And they're overall doing really well. They look healthy. The females are starting to get bigger, which is good. And the males are looking good. I wish there was a little more of the metallic gold color, but we've got some big chunky Amano shrimp in here as well. And kind of starting to manage the algae in here. It's starting to kind of come together. I've got a crypt that I got from Dean back there, kind of a red tiger spiralis. We'll see if that does well. Oh yeah, so one of the reasons the shrimp or the algae is doing so well is not so much the algae eating Amanos, but it's actually these Pinocchio shrimp that you can see right here. Those guys I got from online Eric Lucas, and I believe it's Shrimply Business. I'll have to double check that. We'll put it on screen here. Or is it buypetshrimp.com? Either way, the one that it is, I got them. We'll put it on screen here, I think. And you can see another one right here. And they're really good algae eaters. And I've been using them for a little while, so that's kind of a new addition, I would say. Yeah, there you guys go for the camera. That's some great footage right there. So they're doing good. Over here we've got the monster guppy tank, and I put some floating water Sprite in there. We've got, even though this tank got bleached, still an outbreak of Malaysian trumpet snails. So we put in the assassins to start winning that war. So these guys, putting out the babies, these are all fried that I'm raising out now. These are probably 2-ish months old, maybe a touch more. And this is the kind of thicket you need to really crank out babies. So once these raise up, that's when I think I can truly start chasing the monster guppy train there. And what I mean by that is these will have been adjusted to my water and they'll be healthy. and they're getting fed high protein diet with the Tubifex worms, which they're doing a terrible job at displaying today. I actually have all the extra lights off, so there's less glare, but all the fish are acting different, so that's always awesome when you're trying to show off a product. But yeah, once they give birth and they start having all these places to hide, it's really gonna do well. And you can see some other things going on here. Is this Java fern is doing absolutely amazing, right? All I did was stick it into the substrate. It's getting blocked out by most of the light. And as you kind of go to this side of the tank, now you see there's algae on the glass, there's algae on the plants, and there's algae on this guppy grass. So really it's a sign of turn your lights down, guys, you and me. I've got it to be too bright. This tank was brighter than, for instance, this one that's got a better algae balance going. And I want to see my fish bright and colorful, but at the same time, I don't have the plant load to justify that. So over here, I've had some freeze-dried brine shrimp, and I've got some Episogramma barlowii. And what I'm trying to do is see if I can breed these guys in my high pH hard water. Now these are typically a soft water fish and low pH fish, but they're a mouth brooder, so they hold the babies in their mouth. I bought a pair for, I don't know, it's like $180 or something crazy. And you can see the plants are happy in here, kind of releasing that oxygen. And yeah, so just a pair of fish in there is all that's in there. Over here, we still got the Cyprichromis and the mollies. You can see they're digging into the Tubifex worms there. And I love the Tubifex worms because it allows me to get a good look at the fish, especially while I'm filming and everything. So, I love that. Those are the Cyprichromis there. There's one that's starting to color up, one of the males. And I'm honestly surprised that I'm getting like no fry out of here. So what I think I have to do is separate out everything. And is it the mollies eating all the fry? Is it the Nezzy swordtail fry that raised up that are preying on other babies? Because it is very, very dense in here. And normally, I'd be making either a ton of mollies or I'd be making a ton of Cyprichromis. And I'm doing neither. And there's still the school of pygmy corydoras down low in here. They're hiding out in the weeds. And then, rockstar cherry shrimp that's been living out in here. Oh yeah, there they are. They all, not all of them, but a bunch of them came up to the front here. So it's a nice group, but I'm hoping, my goal was to actually breed those passively kind of in the weeds. And I've got quite a few now. So if I was to pull them out and count them, that might be going on. So you can kind of see these different groups, and there's still some back in the weeds too. So I might be making more pygmy corydoras, but when you colony breed, you don't really, you don't get a good stock where when you pull eggs and you raise them, you can count them and all of that. That matters a lot more. Obviously I made a patch here where I could see the fish because it was so grown in I couldn't. And so that's been helpful to be able to see the fish swimming up front. And you can see these Cyprichromis, they only want to eat mid-water. They don't want to eat off the glass or anything like that. So I actually have to come back in with like the magic nano feed and stuff and go ahead and feed those guys. So over here, I've got a couple of shrubbunkins. They are on duckweed duty, but they have not realized it yet. As you can see up there, they should be eating duckweed. I have a feeling they're snacking on my shrimp and other things in here, and they haven't quite got that hungry yet. Well, you can see this male here. He's got breeding stars on his gill plate. This is actually, well, either the son or the daughter of that fish. But yeah, too much duckweed, need to get that sorted out. It started from like 4 pieces and I was busy for 2 weeks, and then it's this. But you can see with the light CO2 injection, the tiger lotus is going nuts, and even the bulbitis that's sitting here is doing pretty well. So yeah, let me go down to some other tanks here. I'm on the rolly stool today. So you can see here we've got some black Moscow guppies with all these crypts. I still am not a fan of, like, all the lighting's the same, so that's what might blow your guys' mind like it blows my mind. This light is the same as this light, is the same as that light, is the same as that one and that one. And they're all the same brightness. That's the crazy part. Like, the plants are like absorbing the light and blocking the light. And so that's where you get like these guys where you can see the shrimp are on it, and this guy's too busy trying to breed. And same with this one, these black Moscow guppies here. But yeah, it's crazy to me that that's the way the light works. Anyway, still doing well. I need to catch out all the babies. I actually want to stop breeding the black Moscows and change something entirely different. I did try out this no planaria, and I basically dosed it like it said for like 3 or 4 days, and I still had a ton of planaria. And so I was like, well, that didn't work. But now it's been like a week since then, and I don't see a single planaria. So I actually do think it worked. It was shrimp safe, and I still have my snails. So I think it's a little bit tricky. It says it handles it in 72 hours, but I think it's more like handles it in a week. And so that's kind of a win, I suppose. Over here, we've got lots of kind of these blue/black. These were sold as blue velvet shrimp, but they got a lot of kind of dark in there. And then I've got these swordtails. These are Montezuma swordtails. Their swordtails get like 5 inches long, but you got to grow them out forever and a day, and just kind of letting it do its thing. Again, same lighting, right? We've got some Java fern. We've got the guppy grass. And I guess what I'm wanting to point out to you is, even though it's the same lighting, this one doesn't have all the brush algae and all that kind of stuff going on, and the other one did. So what I'm trying to tell you is, even with the same light, the same fur, it's the same setup, you can get different environments, different little ecosystems going. And that's, don't take it as defeat. You haven't necessarily done something wrong. Sometimes it just happens that way. So you can see here, I've got a sword back here. The old like immerse grown leaves are dying off, and they're being consumed by shrimp and snails. As you can see, that's what they typically do. And then all the new leaves kind of coming through the center there, which is hard to see in the back. Those are the grown underwater leaves that will really take hold. Now the scuds in here are almost gone. I basically put the swordtails in here to eat all the scuds. So we're scud light and shrimp heavy. We've always been shrimp heavy in here, and I'm gonna take some of these to the store, I believe, and sell them. There's just a lot of shrimp, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shrimp in here. You could, so you're seeing them in this density, right? And this is the density where I tell people, like, yeah, now's when you experiment. See if your apistos will eat it. See if your angelfish are gonna eat them, because you've got so many. And when you take 30 out of here, you don't even notice it. And then, so like you just saw all those, and it's like, oh, they're all eating as well. Like up here, they've pulled off worms and stuff like that, and they're fighting over them. So the worms kind of float, they pull some off, they float up, then they fight over them. And yeah, so you can pull, I can pull 30 to 50 out of here like it's nothing, and sell them to my store, and the store will sell them. And so this is a great example. I would have to sell these to the store for very cheap, $1 or less, because I don't think they're of the quality that people really want to buy. They'll buy them as a cheap shrimp, but there's too much color variance in this. So like, oh yeah, that blue one's amazing, and then they'll be like, oh, that one's kind of black, that one's kind of brown. And that's what happens with genetics. And so if I had the time to spend a few hours just pulling out all the worst, and you'd end up with a better breeding colony. Over here, this is kind of another setup we did for kind of a little bit of profit here. And you can see that we've got the little fireball platies that I bought, and they came in and they were just super tiny fry. And I've got these little fancy mountain decorations we saw in the store, and I've put some Anubias in there, and then we've got some Java fern. And if we look up top, that's where all the shrimp are hanging out on the bottom of these redroot floaters, basically. And for whatever reason, this got some guppy grass as well, not doing as well. So kind of bizarre, like, oh, different. Again, is it just the animals that are in here? The light's the same, the fertilizer's the same. We've got these same little shrimps there, and they're really good algae eaters, I find. So that's kind of cool. In addition, it takes an army, right? So everything in here pretty much eats some type of algae. But come over here, look at these guys. These are sunset variatas, basically. They came from Dan's Fish. Lighting again. You can kind of see like brighter on this side, darker on this side, because of all the lilies that have been growing. And so these guys, I'm gonna have to do something about these guys, because I'm getting no fry at all. And that just means there's too many males and they're chasing down the babies, and I need more cover. It's too open. Basically, if a baby pops its head up, it's gonna get sniped. And so, yeah, these guys, because I can watch them from my desk and I see them, breeding a lot. These guys finished off their Tubifex worms. So crypts are coming back. That's kind of a cool thing. I haven't changed anything. That's always super annoying, right? The only thing that's really changed is this plant went in. And so then you could lead yourself to like, wait, is that plant providing shade now why these grow bigger? I have a belief that the less light you have, the taller things will grow. And I think we're seeing that because we literally have done nothing. And basically as you get more into the light over here, the crypts grow shorter. Now I can't really explain this one though. This one is like right on the line, right? But it's still growing pretty good. And then you've got these guys that are killing it. I love when they get that wrinkle leaf look. So, yeah, also considering I need to but take some of these into the store to sell. And this colony, while thriving, is gonna do a lot better when we get more plant mass kind of going in there. So, yeah, so, okay, an odd thing. This tank also had planaria super bad. I didn't treat it with the antiplanaria stuff, and I see none. So that's where I'm hesitant to recommend the no planaria, because it's like, well, this tank didn't get any of it, and it also solved its planaria problem. I will say, okay, here's what I did do. I read online in like 2006, 2010, a bunch of people have been saying, I think assassin snails eat planaria. And I was like, okay, cool. I got Malaysian trumpet snails that are a problem, and I've got planaria. Let me add these. And I basically add them to every tank. There's basically every tank, you can see one's actually right there. Every tank basically got assassin snails. And it would seem that my planaria problem has gone away. So, yeah, take that for what you will. Not scientific proof yet, but these guys are still just growing. They're at about 2 inches, I would say. Starting to think about coloring up, which is nice. They've been snacking on Tubifex, which normally you don't feed Tubifex to Mabunas there. You can see there's still like a runt in the back. That little runty guy right there. You see how he darts out, grabs some worms, darts back in. He's not big and bold enough to come out and kind of eat from the pile with the rest of them. So, but the plants are doing fairly well in here, which I like to see. And yeah, so this is a storage tank at the moment, so it's not really like, oh, it doesn't look cool. Even the crypnuries that I tissue culture back there, I think they are actually looking pretty nice. And you can see this male starting to color up. He's a big boy, but yeah, just eventually I'm gonna set up a whole tank of African cichlids with these and plant it just so people go, oh my gosh, that's a planted cichlid tank. And then we've got over here, we've got the balloon mollies. They're doing their balloon molly thing. Again, some light being blocked by tiger lotus, but they've been kicking out babies, which is good, and they've been growing up, so that's nice to see. We can see here that some of the Java fern, the first planted, is starting to kind of take hold, and emerus growth kind of died off, and new growth kind of coming back in. And you can see a big old leaf there died in the back. I just let it get consumed by shrimp and everything is my deal. And yeah, I haven't dosed fertilizers in like 2 weeks. I've been overwhelmed at work at the moment, so that's where you're getting a little extra plant. Like they're in stress mode, and then we lost that leaf, which all the other leaves doing really well. So I think that one just got damaged while I was doing something because it's feeding off root tabs. And so that's one of the perks. If you get busy like me, stuff that feeds off root tabs, you can kind of load that up a lot easier and not have to worry about it as much.